Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com. We're a full service CX and UX agency, and we are available for projects, training, and consulting. So get in touch. Welcome to November 2nd, 2021. And this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I do this every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. This week's a little bit funky because we changed clocks and you might not have, so I might seem like I'm coming on at the wrong time, but I promise you from my perspective, it is the right time. So if you would like to get your question answered, I'll be here for about an hour totally live taking all of your questions. You can ask them in the LinkedIn chat room, in the YouTube chat room, and if you're watching on Twitter broadcasts, you can tweet at me. So what does all this look like? So also, don't forget, if you're watching YouTube, press like. Please subscribe on YouTube, where all of our videos are archived and easily searchable and arranged in playlists. And if you have any questions, they're probably answered here, deltacx.com/links. It's a page of all the links that you would need related to the show. How do I ask a question? How do I submit something for the reaction stream? How do I sign up for your actual courses? How do I sign up for the free giveaway? Where's your HR training? What's the calendar of upcoming events? If you have a question, it's here. So, hello, Ralitza. Is Tom joining today? No, I accidentally or unpurposed canceled Tom when I had a previous contract job that asked me to move my schedule around. I had canceled Tom, thinking that we would not be able to hold office hours today. As you know, Ralitza, I no longer have that contract job, and I added stuff back in, but I had messaged Tom and I had told him that I'm going to either move him into December or January. This was a few weeks ago. So I am sorry Tom is not joining today. If you were looking for him, he's not here. Hopefully it doesn't still say that he's joining. I should have taken that down. Does it say him on the calendar thing? Because that would be a mistake. Let me see. No, it says just me. Yeah, we're going to reschedule Tom. So thanks again to Ralitza for connecting me with Tom. He will be a special guest, but not today. All right, so let's take a look at some of your questions that have been coming in. We have 2 so far, and they are long. So while I'm answering these, feel free to post your questions in the chat room or through Twitter, and I will add them to the questions list. Okay, so let's put up this question, and it's a multi-parter. Here we go. Hi, Debbie. I have 2 questions. They might sound stupid. Never! What's Agile and Scrum, and where's the UX researcher's place in those processes? I work as a UX researcher at an insurance company. I keep hearing these words, Agile, Sprint, Scrum. Engineers, product owners, and designers use them all the time, but I don't know where I or my research stand in those processes. Okay, and question 2, which I'll answer after that. What's the difference between UX designer, UI designer, visual designer, and graphic designer? I tried to Google it, but it seems like there's no unanimously accepted definition for each of them. Thanks a lot. Hi, Aitan. Okay, so let's answer first question first. And even though Ralitza is more qualified than I am on this one, what's Agile and Scrum? So Agile and Scrum are approaches that engineering teams and departments take towards software development. It is the way that the idea was once upon a time, software and coding and all that stuff was taking just too long. People would work on something for 2 years and then release it, which sometimes still happens, but that was called waterfall, and people felt that that was just too slow. And how do we get things out to people faster? And how do we make teams work more efficiently while still being focused on customer satisfaction? Sorry, my chair is a little uncomfortable today. So then about 20 years ago, people started talking about Agile. The idea was that we would accomplish the things I just said. We would get software and products out more efficiently. Engineering would have a better way of working. And there's different flavors of Agile, so I can't say they all work this way. Scrum is a flavor. Hi, Sirocco. I always like to give you an Italian pronunciation. But the real question is, where's the UX researcher in these processes? There is a huge difference between where the researcher is and where they should be. In many flavors of Agile, UX kind of isn't there at all. I was putting up a graphic in yesterday's show where very often when you see infographics related to Agile and Scrum, they start with product backlog, which is prioritized, let's call it stuff, that engineering is going to build. Well, it's like that magically got there. Somehow magically engineering has a whole bunch of things that are ready to go and ready for them to build. But in reality, that should be coming from UX professionals. They would have done research and information architecture and interaction design and testing and improvements and iterations. And now we know that this is the right thing to build for our customers and it's a good execution of the right idea. We'll get that in the backlog so engineering can build it. But Agile and Scrum very often don't take that into consideration. And in fact, even some people in the Agile world think you don't need UX people at all. You don't need researchers, you don't need designers, you just need engineers and product managers and a couple of other people who can come up with what this thing should do and look like, and they don't need us. So Agile it's not clear how they approach UX. Some versions of Agile are worse than others. Some of them very specifically super poop on UX and are pretty hostile towards UX, and others have just kind of forgotten about us. So where does research fit in? I believe that research needs to fit in a bunch of places. Certainly, we should be researching before we're designing so that the design is informed by what we learn about people, let's put it up, people, systems, and context. That way, otherwise designers are just making something they like. They're making something they think is good or better. And that's not necessarily the right way to go. That's really glorified guessing. So we need research there. And of course, we need researchers again when it comes to testing, usability, testing these concepts and designs to see if we're going in the right direction, to see if this is done or if we need more iterations on the ideas. Testing is the QA of UX. Let's check this stuff out before we finalize it. Okay. So this is obviously a very long answer, and we didn't get to your second question yet. And if, people watching, if you have questions, send them in. So ultimately, I think the best person to speak to would be if there is a Scrum Master or an Agile coach or a project manager or a team leader of some sort. We've got to talk to them about where research fits in. To me, the least place that research fits in would be to do usability testing on the concept. We just can't skimp on that. The second place to not skimp on research would be to inform designers so that they're not just guessing about people, systems, and context. Then the other place where I want to see research existing, Agile, Scrum, doesn't matter, is before we even plan what features these are. Because in many cases, you're researching something that someone already guessed is the right way to go. Hey, we think everybody wants a light brown cup. So make us a light brown cup. Do a little research around cups and make us some cups. And I think that that's not the right way to go. And I think that's going to work against customer satisfaction. So I want to see more research being business intelligence and risk mitigation so that when we're even planning what this product is going to be and what features we're going to build, that is informed by research. That to me is the best way to pursue customer centricity. But you have to remember, you might be working at an organization that's never done that before. They might be feature-based. See my previous episode on task-oriented versus feature-oriented. They might be feature-oriented and someone says, I have a great idea. Let's make this thing do this thing. And kind of no customers were involved. No users were involved. And it's not UX if we don't involve you, the users, not you personally, letter U. So that would be my medium-sized answer to that. And but again, there's a lot more to learn about Agile and Scrum, but I think ultimately it's talking to your manager and talking to whoever leads the team or teams that you represent. You have to take a look at how they envision your involvement. To me, the dream involvement is for you to be researching constantly so that you are informing business strategies, product strategies, feature decisions, feature prioritization. It is better to base those things on knowledge and data and research than to base it on guesses or marketing studies and scores. That would be what I would suggest. And we've got a follow-up question that I'm going to sneak in and add right now from Sam in LinkedIn. And Sam says, would you say UX designers and researchers are the backbone or support to Scrum Masters and engineers' builds? Absolutely. That is why, to me, we're just partners to them. We do something different and we're on our own track. And the main reason why UX isn't yapping about Agile and Scrum all the time is because it's an approach for engineering to do engineering work. It's not an approach for UX to do UX work. We've got other ways of planning our work and organizing our work and prioritizing our work that's got nothing to do with the way that engineering uses Agile or Scrum or any of these other methodologies to do engineering work. We're just doing our own thing. So yes, we are absolutely great partners to engineering and product. There's really a triangle there. I should draw another one, kind of these three voices model that I've heard other companies talk about, so I didn't make this up, about product, engineering, and UX really being a sort of triumvirate and working together at all stages of planning. So early planning about what are we even building or why, or what are these strategies and goals, right down to the features and feeding the backlog. If you look at Safe Agile, which everyone knows I hate, but if you look at Safe Agile before 2017, they actually said a UX architect is involved at the portfolio level, which is a very high level of planning and organization. UX is involved at the program level, which is kind of a medium level of planning organization, and there's a UX architect on every feature team. I would love to see 5 UX people on every feature team, but one is a start. Unfortunately, SAFe completely undid that after they read Lean UX, which y'all know I hate. Lean UX is neither lean nor UX. And then they decided, oh, we don't need these UX people on teams at all. We can do UX work ourselves. Thanks, Lean UX. So there's that. So let's go back to the rest of the question, since there was a part 2 there. And the question kind of answers itself, but let's talk about it anyway. What's the difference between UX designer, UI designer, visual designer, and graphic designer? Someone says, I can't believe you memorized the SAFe model. It's coming up as LinkedIn user, so I don't see who that is. I've got a lot of SAFe in my head. I've done the training, and that was what SAFe looked like, but I would say in 2015, 2016. But before that, they didn't know what to do with UX. And after that, they decided that Lean UX means we don't need UX. Second part of the question, and I can give you the short answer for this. These titles are mostly meaningless right now. So many UX titles right now mean production designer. They mean, hey, we already know we want the light brown cup. Can you just make us a light brown cup? And really, don't do any research or testing. We know we want a light brown cup. Just make us one. Oh, hi, Sophie. Thanks. For some reason, sometimes my chat system says LinkedIn user. So it gave me Sam's name, but not yours, and I don't know why. So the problem is that no matter what we call people, they might just be production designers. They might just be a pair of hands. It's not like if you're called UX designer, you're super respected and you get to be a problem finder. And if you're called UI designer, you're a production designer and it's just visual design. So the problem is that right now, most of these titles make no sense and they are not standardized at all. And you really have to look at the job description for what people do. And again, unfortunately, it's a mess. And I think it does need to be standardized. And I'm always trying to come up with titles of what things should be. I wrote that in my book years ago now. But it's still not happening. So, to be continued, unfortunately. So thank you for that. And hopefully to the person who asked those questions, I hope that helps. If you're here and you want to ask any follow-up questions, let me know. But let's paste in the next question and I will get that on the screen. Meanwhile, I don't have too many questions today. So if you'd like to ask one, please get it in the LinkedIn chat, the YouTube chat, or tweet it at me, and we will pick it up and add it to the stream. So this person says, I got accepted into Kent State University's UX Design Master's program. I'm interested in UX research. What are your thoughts on the program? In addition, I also got accepted into Pratt Interaction Design, Drexel HCI, and Pace HCD programs. Any thoughts? Now, I'm not that familiar with these, even though I am a very outspoken opponent of Kent State. So I'm definitely the wrong person to ask about Kent State because I strongly dislike it. So I asked Darren Hood privately in a conversation earlier today, and let me see what he wrote to me because he does have some opinions on these, and I felt that he knew better than I did. He gave Pratt a very low score. He gave a Drexel a 0 out of 10. He thought Pace might be okay, but he didn't like that they use UX UI. Kent, he's kind of hot and cold on, and he asked if you checked out DePaul. He thinks DePaul is one of the stronger UX master's degrees. So I think the question there is, how about DePaul? None of these sound, I mean, he said Pace looks well structured, but he doesn't know anything about it firsthand. So unfortunately, I can only say negative things about Kent State. The other ones I am not as familiar with, but I think you can do a little bit of digging, look up some of the professors, and then look them up on LinkedIn. Have they just been professors forever? Or does it look like they have experience working in UX? I'm not saying someone who's been a professor forever is terrible, but I think it is better to learn from people who spent years doing the work. So you need to check if these people have just been talking about the work for years or just doing them in an academic setting, or are they doing the work? Because if you want to work in an academic setting, then sure, then you want to be taught by someone who does things academically. If you want to work in more of a corporate or agency or other setting, you might want to gravitate towards professors who have that corporate experience. So I would say probably do a little bit of digging on some of the instructors and also learn about how much mentoring and coaching you get, because as far as I can tell, most of these programs offer almost none. When you are doing a project, they look at it at the end and they're like, okay, you did it. Do you get mentoring and coaching? Will someone look at your project every step of the way? If you are working on research, will someone look at your research plan and give you the tough love feedback and help you make the research plan better? And then have you fix your research plan and then they look at it again? Will you get a lot of mentoring and coaching as you go, or are you going to guess your way through an entire project and at the end someone's going to go, good enough, here's your grade? Because I found a lot of that. Another thing I'm now fighting for as of last week is, will any of your instructors do the work live? Will anybody be in your Zoom or Google Classroom or real life and share their screen and say, here's where I start a project. I tend to have this information. Now watch me go through all of it. Now I'm going to plan the research. Now I'm going to write a screener survey. Now I'm going to recruit for the research. Here's how I handle all of that. Now I'm going to run the sessions. Watch a couple of these videos of me running the sessions. Now everybody, I'm going to share my screen and you're going to watch me listen back and take some notes and blah, blah, blah. You can do the same with architecture and design as well, as I'll be doing on the channel starting next week in my new Think Out Loud session starting Monday, November 8th. Will your professors do that? Because I'm starting to find that people who don't get that type of education are being given inputs, they're shown outputs, templates, completed work, and they're basically asked to reverse engineer how we got there. Hey, here's our inputs, here's our outputs. Now you try it. Well, hold on. Is that really the best way to learn? Are you going to really learn how to apply knowledge if you're guessing at how we got from A to B? So that's another thing that you can look out for, and it's partially why I don't like any of these degrees. I don't like any of these boot camps. I don't like any of these programs right now. I'm still working on creating my own. Hopefully I'll get it out there next year. But I don't think things are being taught the right way. So, and another question would be, what do you need the master's degree for? Because in a lot of UX, you don't need a master's degree. It's good. But, it's not totally required. All right, we've got a question for R for Everything. Always good to see R for Everything. If you're comfortable sharing your real name, please do, because I feel like I should know some of you and I don't. R for Everything. Who are you again? R for Everything says, do you think usability testing for current app users will be beneficial or interviews are enough? R for Everything, I'm glad you're here. I need more context. What is going on? Are you making changes to the app? Are you working on new features? Like, what are we testing right now? What are we learning? Are we trying to learn how people would use something that we haven't built yet? Or what's the right thing to build for them? Or do we have concepts or designs and we're trying to test them? R for Everything, please give me more context so that I can address it a little bit better. And meanwhile, I'm going to quickly add somebody to a meeting that someone just scheduled for me later. And hopefully you will give us some more context and write a lot of words and help me, because I am not too sure how to answer that without more information on this. Okay, send invite to person. Multitasking. All right. R for Everything says, let's load this up on the screen. Let's assume we're testing the current app. Okay. Why are we testing the current app, though? Are we testing the current app? Because why are we testing the current app? Larry Marine always says, like, why are you, don't test the current app. That's testing. Why are you testing something that's not right or something you're trying to change? So testing the current app could make sense, but can you give me some sort of fake example of what this could possibly be about? Meanwhile, we've got an anonymous question coming in through the other system. So R for Everything, if you can give me something that I can work with here, because normally we don't just test the current app. The current app's already released. It's too late. So what are we doing? And I've got the anonymous question coming in, and I will put that up in a moment. Let's see if R for Everything is going to give us more information. Hopefully R is typing. And then we will ask the anonymous question that just came in. R. We're going to press pause on R while R gives some information about this, because I am not too sure how to answer this question. So let's move this other question first. To find problems, issues, and enhance the experience of the app. Yeah, so as Larry Marine always reminds us, when we test the current app, usually the most we can hope to do is to make small incremental changes. But really what users sometimes need are much bigger changes. What I would probably do is, if I wanted to figure out what's going wrong with the app, I would do some testing with people where I would get them into a situation where I would do a little bit of interviewing with them first to learn a little bit more about them. And of course, we have to make sure we've recruited from the right population. And then I would have them share their app screen, and I would give them some common tasks inside the app. I don't know who you are, where you work, so make sure you're just giving them tasks. Don't say, look at this menu over here. Does this menu make sense? That's not right. Or take a look at the way we've done this. How would you make it better? That's not right either. I would just give people tasks, and I would watch them go through the tasks, and I would use observational research to see what's going wrong. So if you know, for example, that people are having trouble checking out, then I would tell people, you're looking to buy XYZ. Take us through your process to buy XYZ, just don't hit the checkout button at the end, which they wouldn't anyway. They're not going to put in real credit card information or the like. When you watch enough people do this, and I would suggest at least 5, you will definitely see where there are problems and issues. Remember, if you've watched enough stuff, especially with Larry Marine's task analysis, you're going to be looking for the 4 horsemen of bad UX, which is my registered trademark: frustration, confusion, disappointment, and distraction. Look for those. And then I don't have a graphic for this yet, but look for anything that Larry Marine points out as being problematic. And his 4 things are: manually intensive. So again, anything that takes a lot of steps and even manual work from people. Cognitive load, don't make me think. Anything that they have to think about. If you see people pause or stop, or they're not sure what to put here, or do I need to click this or this? Do I have to fill that out? Cognitive load, that has to be fixed. Error prone. Is there a part of this task where people tend to make mistakes? And then finally, knowledge dependent. And knowledge dependent can be a little bit confusing, so check our micro lessons playlist. We just did a show last week on knowledge design, and it talks a lot about how to recognize knowledge stuff. Also look for workarounds. You know, people have cheat sheets. People have, oh, wait a minute, let me go check this other site because that'll help me know what to do here. Workarounds are important to notice too. And are for everything, you are on the right track when you say, should we be testing with new users or current users? So typically when I do this, I like to test with a little bit of both. I like to test with a few of our existing customers, and then I like to test with some people that I might recruit from outside our company who have never seen our system before and aren't customers, but are personas. They're our types. They could be our customers, but they don't know about us, or they use a competitor or whatever. And you have to screen for those people and recruit for those people and pay those people for their time. But it's great to see what people who are familiar with the system do and what workarounds they've created to make their tasks better. And then it's great to see what people who've never seen the system before do, because that gives you a sense of that newbie experience. So I tend to go for a mix of both. That's what I would suggest. Or for everything, how's that? Did that make sense? Is that better? And then we've got some other questions coming in. So thanks to everybody who's posting those questions. But are for everything, if you have a follow-up question, let me know. Inessa, I see your question. Charlene, I see your question. They will all come after the anonymous question that we just got. So I will add that to the list. All right. And Cass says, would it be possible to ask a question in the chat? You just did. So you can ask a question here in the chat, or if you want to send it anonymously where I don't yell your name out, deltacx.link/ask, and I will go pull that from my other anonymous system. All right. So we have a question that came in through the anonymous system, and I pressed the wrong button, and it looks like this. It says, hi, I'm currently in a boot camp and just discovered your channel. Yay! Congratulations on learning UX, and congratulations on discovering the Delta CX channel. I hope you've been feeling very welcome here. Sorry, we should continue the question. What's your advice for a serious student looking to supplement their studies? Where should I start? Part 2 of the question. You have so much amazing content. Where's the best place to start? Thanks again for all you do. Okay, super. What languages do I support? You can ask me a question in English or Italian. My Spanish is really rusty, so probably English and Italian would be the best questions to ask me in. And then let me know what language you want me to answer in. Aitan's crying. Okay, so what do I suggest for a serious student looking to supplement their studies? If your school is not recommending some of the seminal books out there, I would recommend books. I know that seems a little old-fashioned. What? Books made of paper? What? But or Kindles. But I think that there's a lot that aren't in online courses. There's a lot that aren't in programs. And so I would say, I would like to ask the question in German and have the answer be in Dutch. That's not going to work. So I think books, if you haven't already read The Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman, a lot of people like Don't Make Me Think. That's always a goodie. We've also got, I recommend very highly, The Information Architecture book. The Information Architecture book. It's got a polar bear on the front and it says Information Architecture for the Web and Beyond. If it says Information Architecture for the World Wide Web, you have an old edition. So look for the latest edition, which I think might have been 2016. That is a good one to read. I think books are the best way to go. So I don't know who Kaz is, but I don't know why you're waiting for your answer, because I answer everybody's questions in the order in which they came. So I'm working on this one now. You might want to cool off a little, Kaz. So that's where I would start. I would start with some of these books. They are the best way to go in that sense. I don't like a lot of the online courses that I've seen. I can't recommend them. I don't like a lot of the other programs that I've seen. So unfortunately, it's just back to the old books that are the standards. You can also Google Darren Hood's list of books, and he's got a lot of great ideas for books that you might want to check out. Also, psychology. Any opportunity you have to learn cognitive psychology or human behavior, these will definitely help your UX work. Whether you want to be a researcher or a designer, these would be good ways to go. So let's see. All right. So let's see. Cass, I don't even know what your question is at this point. What's your question? Michelle is here. I will add your question to the end of the list. We've got a list going, and all questions are answered in the order in which they are received. So let's take a look at what we've got next. Sam, I see your question as well. We'll put that on the end of the list. And and Michelle will get yours in there as well. Thank you, anonymous person. Happy to help you out. So we've got a few questions coming in from Michelle. And Festus says, I think books are better than getting some of these master's degrees. Unless you absolutely need the credentials, you can save money by reading high quality books. Yeah, I think so too. Michelle says, how long do I have to wait for my answer? I don't know. You're at the bottom of the list. You can always come back later and 2x your way through this if me giving you my time for free and trying to answer this stuff isn't fast enough for you. We usually don't have that problem here. So let's see. Our next question was from Charlene, and it says, how are you, Debbie? I'm okay, thanks. We have some very demanding people in we have some very strange and demanding people in today's chat, but what can I say? Maybe that just comes with the thing here. Kaz, I don't know what your question is anymore. Can you please repeat your question? Because you just look like you're throwing a tantrum, and I don't even know what your question is. So if you can please repeat your question. The only question I saw was, do you collaborate with NASA on your effects? And I don't know if that is the actual question that you are freaking out waiting for an answer to, or if there was something else here that I missed. All right, so let's see. We've got another question, and this one says, Charlene wants to know if Kaz is a bot. I don't know. That's quite possible. All right, so our next question looks like this. Hi, Debbie. What do you believe are the key questions that a new UXD graduate should ask a potential employer during a job interview? Great news for the person who asked this. We have an entire episode on this. So go into the playlist that says live streamed podcasts, roll back to episode 129, and we did an entire hour show on what you should ask a potential employer during a job interview. So rather than me go through all of those again, I'm just going to suggest that you go back in time to our live stream podcast playlist, episode 129 with Julia DeBarry. Check that out. That is going to be the best answer I can give you. All right. Was that one of Michelle's? Let's see. And then Michelle is just copying what other people are saying. So I'm confused here. Eunice Mefta says, can you please review my portfolio live so I can roast you instead of during the interview? Well, if you want to try posting a link, I will do that. Sure, Inessa, thanks. And then let's put up the next question. And I think this one's also Michelle. Oops. And R for everything, I see your question too, which looks like if a participant thought they completed a task successfully, should I tell them another way or consider it as failed? We'll get that one next. That'll be the next question. And I still don't know Kaz's question. So let's see. No, this question is not from me. Okay, so, okay, got it. That looks like R for everything's question. And let's see. And again, Eunice in LinkedIn, if you do want me to look at your portfolio live, I can. Why do you not handle the questions in a chronological way? They are chronological. If you saw the screen I'm looking at, I'm mixing in LinkedIn questions with YouTube questions, with tweets that come in, with private emails that I get. So it might not look chronological to you because you're not seeing all of the questions coming in from the multiple sources, but they are chronological based on the different sources that they're coming in from. Sometimes I do miss one in the chat because they come in really fast and I have one thing that aggregates everything. So sometimes I can miss something, which is why if Kaz is a real person, I am asking them to repeat their question rather than just throw a tantrum that I haven't answered it yet. It's not chronological. Kaz is waiting for his answer, but you answered mine right away. I can't find Kaz's question in my chat history. So if Kaz would like his or her question answered, they should probably repeat it so that I can see it, because again, sometimes I miss something. So Kaz, please repeat your question and then I will make sure it's answered right away, but I cannot find it in my chat history, so please repeat your question. Thank you. If you don't repeat your question, I can't answer it because I do not see it in the chat history. I only see you freaking out. So, yep. That's all I see. When I roll back and I look at Kaz, that's all I see. Do you think usability testing for current app users will be beneficial, or are interviews enough? Didn't we do that one? Didn't we do that one? Okay, I'm stuck in a time loop. So let's quickly go back to that one because I feel like we did that one. If you are working with current app users, as I was telling R for everything, it's definitely important to make sure that when you are giving them tasks, you are also doing interviews. So normally you would combine observational research with contextual inquiry. Yeah, so basically we covered this a bit when I was answering R for everything's question earlier. And the idea is that we don't want to usability test our current app. That was a long answer that I gave R for everything. So remember, it's not, the question isn't usability testing or interviews. We went through a whole, yeah, I answered, it's the second time I hear that answer. Okay, yeah, so I could swear we did this already. Now I just feel like I'm in some weird time loop. and I'm just going to move on. So let's see, we've got, okay, we're up to audience segments for a research project. Let's get that one on the screen. Everyone's in the chat room is saying, yeah, you answered this. Okay, thanks everybody. So Kaz was freaking out that I didn't answer the question while not noticing I had answered the question. That is fun. Okay. Oh, hi, Eunice. No, I didn't forget the LinkedIn chat. I saw your chat and I asked you to please get your thing to me. Wow, everybody is like really grumpy today because I spoke to everybody. Remember, I said, Eunice, I will look at your stuff. Did Jared Spooler Joe send these people to sabotage the screen? Oh my God, that is the funniest thing. Oh my God. There we go. Yeah, we might have some bots here today, y'all. Okay, so let's take a look at these questions and we can ignore the strange guests. All right. So, okay, Mohammed and LinkedIn has a question too. And let's see, we're going to copy and paste that in and put that on the list. Okay, and let me see if I can I access this from my phone? Let's see, content, live. Strange. Okay, I'm just trying to check a couple of things in the live stream, and then we will be back to our regular stuff. Let's take a look at a question and I will answer it while I try to do this. So how do you determine audience segments when first beginning a research project? Interviews haven't happened yet, but we're trying to figure out who to target for those. Okay, so this is a good question. So the audience segments typically come from our personas or our typologies. If you do not have personas, then you have to figure out what these segments are. Sometimes you have to work with marketing to learn who are the people that this product or service is typically targeting. Those are the people that you will want to research with. Let's see. So interviews haven't happened yet. We're trying to figure out who to target for those. So, to the person who asked that, is that close to what you're looking for? So again, audience segments would usually be personas. You might have typologies, or you might just have to work with marketing. I did a project earlier this year where they didn't have personas or typologies, and they really didn't even totally have a sense of who their target customers were. But they said, we know we get B2B customers and we get B2C customers. So we ended up recruiting for some B2B and some B2C based on just those things, and then recruiting for whether or not they had experience buying this type of thing. And that way we could find people who weren't the customers, but would be a target customer. So ultimately, you want to make sure that your research is with archetypal customers that may or may not be the current customers. So let's see. Let's take a quick moment and jump into my YouTube. Sorry, I can't answer questions while I do this. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So what have I missed? Let's see. Okay. Yes, I don't know why these people are hostile. Empathy would be important. Alex says, very helpful. Thank you, Alex. Let's take a look at what Eunice sent, but if it is audio, then I going to have to check the transcription because I don't have my headset plugged in. I was wondering if you could help me. I have an interview this Friday. Please review my portfolio so you can roast it. Yeah, that's what you said in LinkedIn. And I said, I need you to get me the link. So, Eunice, please, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. LinkedIn is not going to let you YouTube is not going to let you post links here. Those get removed. That's not something I can control. I would say go back to deltacx.link/ask, give me the link to your portfolio, and I will absolutely review it live on the show for free if that's what you would like. So again, I cannot review your portfolio if you don't give me a link to it. I understand that you asked for that both in LinkedIn and on YouTube, but I can't review it if you don't give me a link to it. So can everybody cool off, please? Okay, so we've got another one. And it looked like this. Okay. Yes, I am not psychic. I cannot guess what anyone's portfolio URL is. And for our own safety, YouTube removes links from chat. Okay. So, okay. Oh, sorry. There's a question that came before this. Let me put that one up instead. This was R for Everything's question. R for Everything, I'm sorry I didn't get to this question faster, but as you can see, it's been a little bit of a mess in the chat today. And this is a one-person show. Oh, great. I can see that, Eunice. Thank you. I will definitely open that up. And once I get through a couple of more questions, we will take a look at your portfolio. So thank you so much for sending it. I have it open on my computer, and just give me a moment to answer a couple of other questions, and then we will do a live portfolio review for you. Please be patient. Please don't freak out. Okay, so the question is, if a participant thought they succeeded in completing a task, should I tell them to try again or consider it as failed? Super question. I usually just consider that a failure. I normally wouldn't tell them to try again. If they think they've done it right and they haven't done it right, then I wouldn't say to them, you know, you didn't do this right, try it again. It might seem like the thing to do, but the problem is sometimes you now teach people how much you are scrutinizing them and how closely you are looking at them. And then they go, uh-oh, I guess if I don't do the next one right, this person's watching me. Like, you might accidentally set up a vibe that you don't want. So typically, if a person doesn't do a task correctly or the way you're expecting, I would just make a note of what that is, because if we're meeting 5, 8, 12 more people, and you notice a bunch of people aren't doing the task correctly, and maybe they're not doing it correctly the same way, maybe the problem is you. Maybe the problem is we need to change the way the software or the system works, rather than, gee, these people are stupid, they can't figure it out, or whatever the case may be. So I would say consider it a failure, but be open to the idea that there might need to be improvements in the information architecture, the flow, the design, because if they didn't make it through, it's probably not their fault. There's probably something in the system that wasn't intuitive enough. So consider making changes based on what you learned from that. Charlene says, follow up, is it okay to tell the users after the test that they did it wrong? I can't think of a good reason to tell people, and by the way, you did that thing wrong. I didn't want to tell you before, but you know, so no, I would say that doesn't make any sense. What would we gain from that? I can't think of any good reason to say, oh, by the way, that thing you did, it wasn't quite right. Sometimes if there's a part of the system that we didn't get to because people did it wrong, I might, after the whole test is done, say, you know, I want to go back to one of those tasks for a moment. I want to take a look at one of these tasks, and I want to say, you know, what if we had gone in another direction with this? Now, you can try that, but again, you don't want to be too leading. You don't want to say, please click on this. But I would not necessarily tell people they did it wrong, and I wouldn't say, like, try it again. I would rather just count it as a failure and move from there. Okay, I hope that helps. Let's go back to another question. We've got 3 questions, and then we are going to do a live portfolio review. So I'll try to get through these questions as fast as I can, because I know Eunice, if that's how he or she pronounces their name, is waiting patiently, and I appreciate that. But office hours every week is packed with questions, and sometimes people are waiting a long time. So thank you for understanding. It's just a one-person show. Is it a researcher's or product owner's job to know who they're targeting with the new product? When asked who are our customers, one of my product owners said, everyone. So I would say that if you are not sure who you're building for, then stop building. It doesn't make sense to be building and to not even know who you're building for. This sounds like a problem waiting to happen, because if we don't know who we're building for, what are we doing? So I think that that's a tough situation. We need to know who we're building for, and then we need to do research with them to understand their tasks, their workflows. How do they do this now? What are they doing? Things like that. So the customers aren't everyone. I know there's some things that feel like they're for everyone. A computer, a phone. But very often companies still have targets that they're going after. And if you're not sure who that is, go talk to marketing and sales. Sales usually knows who they're targeting. Marketing usually knows who they're targeting. And it's usually not everyone. They usually do have some buy this. So could it be everyone? Maybe. But many products usually have sweet spots of who they're hoping to sell this to. So I would say if you're totally not sure, talk to sales and marketing. But I wouldn't be researching or building anything if we can't figure out who this is for. So there you go. Mohammed's got another question, which we will have to do after our portfolio review. So let's see. Okay, so let's make a note that we're going to do the portfolio review, which I'll try to spend just a few minutes on, and then we will go back to Mohammed's question from LinkedIn. Thank you so much for that question. Please be patient. And let's see. Okay. And now let's go back to the next question. Here we go. Let's see. The next question is about portfolios. And again, that's a great short answer to this question because we do have a stream about it. So I don't have to go through all the things here now. Plus, you're about to see me review a portfolio. So what makes a portfolio strong and impactful? Stand out if you're looking to hire. I'm looking for good process, and I'm looking for good storytelling around that process. You can also see episode 54, which is my, in the live streamed podcasts playlist, you can see episode 54 is all about what I recommend for portfolios. Different people give different advice. So you might find that I'm saying things that are different from other people, but hopefully some of my advice is helpful. Now we're going to do one more question, and then we're going to go to that live portfolio review. I would love to do more live portfolio reviews, but I find that people do not want to send me their portfolios to do live. So normally if you sign up for one of our free portfolio reviews, which by the way, you can get a free portfolio review, there's a link on this page, deltacx.com/links will lead you to the free portfolio sign up. And so here we go. So one more question before portfolio review. Thank you, Sam. Is it normal to be the person who owns the whole problem space from research to UI? Even if I work in one thing for a company, but I study the whole path and maybe change the role and try something every couple of years. I don't totally understand the question. So let's see. Who asked that? It's hard for me to find. Let's see, we answered Kaz's questions. So if Kaz is throwing a tantrum, we'll never know. Oh, this was Mohammed's question. Okay, is it normal to be the person who owns everything from research to UI? Normal? hard to say. You do see a lot of jobs that are trying to combine everything that's in UX and UI and put it together as a unicorn job. I don't recommend jobs like that because not only will you probably burn out, but you'll probably have a hard time determining what your own priorities are, and you'll probably also have a hard time getting everything done in the right amount of time. A lot of people who are going to say, you're not agile, you're not working fast enough. And it's like, well, you're one person trying to do what's probably 6 people's jobs. So is it normal for that? I would say it's not normal and it's not good, but I definitely have seen jobs that expect people to be all of these things, research, content, information architecture, interaction design, testing, visual design, documentation, and sometimes beyond that. I do not recommend that. I think that that is really a path to burnout. So if that's what's going on for you, I'm certainly concerned. And Mohammed also said, if I work in one thing for a company, but I study the whole path, maybe try to change my role. Yeah, I think that that's an okay idea. And I would also try to see if you could possibly get more people hired onto the team and break some of these things into specializations so that you are not the person who's responsible for doing all of the things. So that would be my suggestion there. Mohammed, I hope that addresses some of what you're talking about. Chris says, I'm editing a video for a client and I can't extract captions embedded on an MP4 file. That is not my specialty, Chris, though thank you for dropping by and asking it. I am not an expert on video editing, so I would not be able to help you with that. I do not even know how to embed captions on an MP4 file. All right, so let's take a look at Eunice's, and please tell me how to pronounce your name. And let's see, so let's flip over to a couple of things. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Just trying to click all the right buttons today, and I am not. So please give me a moment. We're going to open up that portfolio and do a live review. Now, while I do that, let's talk about what I look for in a portfolio. And yes, we're going to run late today. So I am looking for, let's make sure we're up. Yep. So what I tend to look for is process, and I'm looking for storytelling. But of course, it's the storytelling of how you do your process. So the question is, if I'm thinking, so let's imagine a scenario. I'm a hiring manager and I've got an open UX job. You are looking for that job, you're applying to it. I'm looking at your portfolio and I'm trying to figure out, are you somebody I would like to interview? That's all the portfolio has to do. I don't have to hire you from the portfolio. I just have to say, hey, I think this person knows what they're doing. I think that we should meet this person. So let's take a look at this portfolio. I'm a UX Master Design student at UTC in France. I'm passionate about creating interactive design experiences. I love solving problems and thinking outside the box to better our everyday lives. So I'm going to look to see if in your portfolio you show me how you solve problems. Don't just tell me you do. I'm going to see if you show me, and I'm going to see if you think outside the box. I like to treat people's portfolio homepages as their promise to me. So let's see. You're looking for an internship. Okay, so let's pretend that my company has an open UX design internship. So let's just make sure my fake scenario matches your job. And of course, good luck in your interview. Okay, so you have a UX design and research project. You have a UX research and design project. You have some web dev. You have some web dev, and you have some web stuff. Okay, so normally, if I don't have a lot of time, I'm going to look at one of your projects. If they both seem equally interesting, I'll just pick the one at the top of the page. So I don't know which one of these is better. If you know that the second one is better, move it up. But if this one's better, that might be the one I click on. So let's take a look at it. How did I get here? What? This jumped down the page. Did y'all see that? This jumped down the page. Let's try reloading that again. That was weird. Refresh. Okay, I don't know why I'm down here. Let's try scrolling up. All right, let's start at the top. All right. Context. With the transition from traditional classes to remote classes, students felt strong unease, disappointment with proposed alternative. Education administration not considering effects of staying home for foreign students and those that live alone. Online surveys said people were eating 1 or 2 meals a day, which impacted their performance and their health. A large part of students don't know how to cook, they don't have a kitchen, and healthy food habits. Okay, so that's the context. Thank you for that. Our team participated in all decisions and stages of a project. I led the framing of the project and contributed to the research phases and the evaluation before producing the user flow. Okay, so this one's a little tough because it sounds like you might want me to evaluate you for design, but it sounds like you mostly did research. But again, let's just pretend that the job is research, just so we can stick around and take a look at this. We split the work on Wireframes, interactive prototyping, UI decisions, and user tests. Here's where it gets hard for me to decide to interview you. When there is a team project, it's really hard for me to tell unless your storytelling is very clear what work you did and what work other people did. So we'll be looking for that to be really, really clear. Otherwise, I'm going to look at this and go, I don't know if this person knows what they're doing. I don't know if they're any good at this. The whole team worked on this. I don't know what they did. So that's part of why I don't love team projects. Okay, the goal of this project is to create an experience that would help students separated from their homes with no kitchen to have good, healthy habits and diversify their diets. Now, of course, with my UX hat on, my question is that what students want? This project aimed to fix common student habits, skipping meals, ordering junk food. I wonder if you learned why they do this, because I wonder if some of it is financial. And it's not like, oh, we need to teach them healthy habits. I wonder if they just don't have money for more food or better food. Okay, how the project went. Surveys. We wanted to gather feedback from target demographics. We set up a survey and we asked them to fill it out. Okay, so I don't have time to go into this, but in general, surveys are not a common UX tool. They are a common marketing tool. They certainly can be quantitative research, but they're usually not written very well, no matter how hard you tried. Surveys are usually flawed, and unfortunately, that means the results are flawed. So I'm going to hope that in this research, even if you did a survey, I'm going to hope that you did something that was more qualitative. We definitely shouldn't be making product decisions on surveys. And if you tell me you're a researcher, I'm going to look for you to have done qualitative research unless you're claiming to just be a quantitative researcher. So I'm going to skip this. Oh no, you went from red flag. You went from, okay. This is tough. This is tough. If you're being interviewed by someone who is an expert in UX, they're probably going to know that personas are generally not made from surveys or survey results. Personas have to come from qualitative research, typically observations, sometimes interviews. So I think that now again, I don't blame you. If this is what your school is teaching you to do, then you can only know what your school is teaching you to do, which is why I speak out so much against a lot of schools, because I don't want you to be taught that the way that we do UX work is we run a survey and then we have a persona. So is that enough for me to not interview you? Possibly, because I might think, oh, wow, this person didn't do any qualitative research and doesn't know to do qualitative research. That might be, that would be something I'd have to teach this person. Okay, so you're writing, I did a survey because of COVID restrictions, and yes, there are financial problems. So COVID restrictions is not really a good excuse to not have done qualitative research, because you could talk to someone on the phone, you could talk to them on a Zoom call, you could talk to them on a Google Meet. You don't have to sit next to them. You could have interviewed people and learned more about what's happening. So please don't let COVID be an excuse. Yes, COVID keeps us from standing next to each other and visiting people and standing over them, but it does not stop us from talking to people and doing good interviews. So this is definitely a red flag for me, because the problem is that when you don't start with strong research that was collected the right way, you technically set up the rest of the project for potential problems, potential failure. So what happens to our project if we guessed at a persona? What happens to the project if we guessed at a user journey? So remember, same thing for user journeys. If we did not watch the person make the journey, then we would have to rely on them reporting on their journey, explaining their journey, doing a diary study or journal study on their journey. If you didn't do those, how do you know what their journey is? If they only filled out a survey, how do we know their steps? We would normally know their steps from observational research and watching them. So I would say that chances are your persona was guessed. And I didn't go back and look at it to see if there's any red flags in the persona. But to me, there's definitely a red flag in creating a journey without having seen that journey, without having spoken to people about that journey. Okay, so this is you just talking about some things you did in making the persona, but unfortunately, I'm concerned that the persona is completely made up. Eunice says, I know these facts, but also the project was a school project and every phase had a deadline. Yes, I understand. Remember, I don't blame you for this. You can only do what someone has taught you to do. If someone told you first you run a survey, then you make a persona, and you just make up motivations, make up frustrations, make up objectives, make up things. If someone taught you to do that, you can only do what you were taught. And that's what concerns me, because I don't believe this work was done well, but I also know that you might be doing exactly what you're taught. If your instructor looks at this and says, yes, this is perfect, this is exactly what you do, then I would be concerned about your instructor and your program. Eunice says, yes, the persona was made from survey and guesswork, and huge red flag, it's from personal experience. Right. So you guessed at the persona, or you just made it like you. Maybe there's something about this person who's like me because I skipped meals, because I'm having financial problems. And this is where you will always hear, you are not your user. And so it is not a good idea ever to model the persona after you. And again, the user journey you probably modeled after yourself also, but that is not good UX work. Good UX work interviews 8 to 12 people or more, observes them, and then says, oh, this is their journey. Because remember, even if there are other people in your situation, foreign students facing financial issues, foreign students facing financial and nutrition or diet issues, that doesn't mean you all have the same approach to that problem. It doesn't mean you all have the same journey. And that's why it's important to end up meeting and watching so many people. And that's why the observational research is important. So again, I know that school projects are team projects. I know school projects are short projects, but when it comes to good UX work, if someone is not familiar with a good UX process, this portfolio project will look fine. If someone is more of a UX veteran and is more familiar with the UX process and knows that we don't make these things out of surveys, or if this is an internship and they don't care if you're getting this right or wrong or not because they're happy to teach you and train you, you end up okay. So the professor said it's great, which is why I hope to find an internship with a team to teach me. And with ADHD, interviews are tough. Yeah, interviews are tough even without situations and conditions and other things. So I agree. These are difficult things. Hold on, something is coming in through the private ask. Nope, that was it. So so again, I can continue going through this, but I think the problem is that I don't think you have a good professor, and I don't think you have a good program, and I'm worried that you might not be learning the right things the right ways. I hope if you get into an internship, you will be able to learn those things. Now, hopefully the internship will judge you based on your personality, your heart, your willingness to learn, your openness to feedback, things like that. Because that's, if I'm looking for an intern or an apprentice, I recognize that they probably haven't learned a lot yet. They may not have learned the right things the right ways, but in an internship or apprenticeship, I expect to train them. I expect to be teaching them as they go. I expect them to make mistakes or not apply knowledge correctly. So I think the question is going to be, what's the internship looking for? Are they looking for someone who's already great at this and doing great things in great ways? I would say you're not there yet, because unfortunately, I don't think the school or the professor taught you the right ways. We do not do UX by survey. Absolutely not. And I would be happy to speak to your professor if they speak English, but we do not do UX by survey. And we don't do UX by introspection. We don't do UX by, well, what about me? What would I do in this case? Or what's my experience? And if your professor said one or both of these would be okay, then again, that's not your fault. That's the professor has not given you the right information. So ultimately, I can continue looking at this, but I think the problem is that we're set up for a project that is really quite strange. And it's not going to look like good UX work to me, kind of no matter what, because the research wasn't strong. Now, as for wireframes, here's some wireframes. Some of these look a little strange at first glance to me, and it makes me wonder what you've learned about interaction design, and it makes me wonder what you've learned about accessibility. So for example, these buttons would normally be different colors. There should be primary buttons and secondary buttons, but I'm not seeing that. There are things that are gray, but I can't tell if this is gray because it's unavailable, or is that a selected state? I'm not sure. And this is connect your, can I click on this and make it bigger? Only a little. Connect your profile. Sorry, can everyone still see me? Does Auchan still exist? Because here in Italy, it got bought out by Conad. But anyway, the problem to me is that what do we really understand about the problem? And then how did we solve that problem? So when I take a look at this user testing, if this is this what you really gave people? Is this what you told people to do? Was this for your testing? Was this what you told people to do? This list of steps, or is this what you saw people do? I'm so bad at UI. Sorry. Don't worry about it. It just means you have more to learn. Really, don't worry about it. Everybody starts off making mistakes. That's how you learn. So please don't worry about it. That's how you learn. So let's see. Sorry, I know we're running late, everybody, but I hope this is helping. Yeah, Soul says we're all learning. Don't feel bad. Definitely don't feel bad. That you're still in school. There's so much to learn. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'm still learning. So definitely never apologize for still learning. We're all still learning. Apologize when you act like I'm done learning. I know everything. That's when you can get out of here. Yes, this is the list of steps. It's the list of steps you asked people to do. If this is the list of steps that you asked people to do, this is not correct usability testing or user testing. The problem is that you have given people too much information on what to do. If this is what you ask them to do, you have walked them through the app. You didn't give them a task to do. For example, a task would be, you would like to make a fish recipe tonight. That's it. Done. So no, you don't want to give them a list of steps and see how they execute the steps, because you gave it away. You gave away exactly what you wanted them to do. It's much better to give people a prototype and give them the task or the end of the task. You want to make fish for dinner. That's it. Maybe they never take the tutorial. Maybe they don't want to log in. Maybe they don't want to read posts in Simple Cuisine. Maybe they don't want to create a post. Maybe they don't want to find someone broadcasting live. Maybe they don't want to search. You know, you've told them to do all these things, but maybe they naturally weren't going to do any of these things. So it sounds like this is a poor program and a poor professor, which again is not your fault at all. You are welcome to show this video to your professor. It is on YouTube. But the reality is that, and it's going to be in the office hours playlist. So this is not correct usability testing. So again, if I were checking you for, do I want to hire you and for a job where you're going to hit the ground running and just start doing UX work, I would have to say no. I don't think you're ready yet to just do UX work because too many things here are being done incorrectly. Do I think you're ready for an internship or an apprenticeship where someone doesn't expect you to do things correctly and they're going to oversee your work and teach you more and train you more and things like that? Sure, you could be. And so it really depends on, you know, to me, how this interview goes that you have. And of course, good luck with it. Really depends on what they're looking for. If they're looking for a warm, smart person who wants to learn and wants to be better, then why shouldn't they choose you? Other than you're probably up against a lot of people. If they're looking for someone who has UX experience and can kind of do the work on their own and do it correctly with some established skill, I would say, I'm sorry, but I don't think you're there yet. But it's not your fault and it's not the end. It just means there's still more to learn. And I'm certainly concerned about the program that you're in because I don't believe that you are learning the right things the right ways. And I don't speak French, but I don't have to know French to know that I don't think this was done correctly. So yeah, so let's just end that portfolio adventure there. I would love to do more of these live ones, but I know people are afraid of what I'm going to say, but now you know. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Eunice. I hope that was helpful. I hope that was the honest thing that you were looking for. I hope I still hope you will get the internship and that they will consider you. And you know, certainly wish you lots of luck. I know we had a question from Mohammed in LinkedIn that I promised to get to last. So let's just take a look at that quickly. And because I really liked the question and I don't want to ignore it, but we did go on a giant portfolio adventure. I would love to do more of those. If anyone wants to do live portfolio sessions, let's do them. And Eunice, you're the first. So thank you so much for being willing to be the first live portfolio review that we've done on this channel. So yeah. So we've got one question and then Sol is posting a question, which I will also answer. And then we're going to have to wrap up. I'm running so late. Normally we We do end these after an hour. I know we're an hour, 17 minutes in, so we are running extra late, but if it helps y'all, let's do it. So Mohammed had this question on LinkedIn earlier, and it said, is it okay to feel like personas have no value on the project? And that happens for all projects, so we don't do them. We feel it's more than enough to know about the user's age and gender. Okay, so kind of half and half here. Your question started out okay, and then to me kind of fell off a cliff. So I think that many personas have no value, and I think it's okay if you don't have personas. You're going to have some sort of description of your target audience, whether that's by segments or buckets or typologies or something. They don't have to be represented with traditional UX personas or marketing personas. And it's okay if you don't do them. We have some stuff in the micro lessons playlist, which is, do we need personas? How do we make personas more useful? Maybe watch the task analysis personas micro lesson and you'll learn how to make personas more useful. That's the right name pronunciation. Your criticism is my ammo for internship. Good luck. Good luck. Tell us, you come back and tell us how it went. But remember, age and gender are not good indications of anything. Age and gender really don't tell us very much about any of this. I mean, just because someone is 27, what does that mean? What does that mean? If someone is male or female or non-binary or other, what does that mean? You know, we put people into lazy buckets. I can't tell you how much stupid advertising and other things I get because I'm a woman. So they assume I have children. They assume I have this and that and the other thing that women have. And it's like, ugh, I want to talk about cars and motorcycles and tactical gear. So, be careful of putting people into lazy buckets because they have an age or a gender. Because let's face it, not all 27-year-old women are the same. Not all 49-year-old men are the same. Not all non-binary millennials are the same. So we have to be careful of some of these lazy marketing buckets. It's better to do that research and learn who people really are and then judge by their task. I think we've got something in the micro lessons playlist about It's probably the task analysis personas where we talk about breaking people up by their role, or we call it a hat. That's going to help you even more, Mohammed, if you're still here. So there's that. Now let's put up Sol's question and let's roll back to it. Okay, here we go. Can you speak more about why surveys are invalid in UX? Sure. In fact, we did a whole episode on it. It's either, from memory, it's either episode 51 or 52. And so you'd have to roll back into the live stream podcast playlist, look for episode 51 or 52, or just go to YouTube and search Delta CX surveys. It'll come up. But let's talk about it briefly. And also just a reminder to everybody, please press like and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you have some questions, your answer is probably here. deltacx.com/links, entering our giveaway, asking questions, signing up for Acture training. Where's my HR training? What else is there? How do you get a free portfolio review from me, not live on YouTube? Things like that. So everything's there. Okay, so why aren't surveys good? Well, they've got kind of garbage in, garbage out. And the problem is very often that first of all, it's how did you write the survey and the questions? Very often the surveys are leading. We ask questions that kind of hinted people what we're looking for, or sometimes we ask questions that aren't even important. And so we also have a lot of strange survey questions. Have you ever taken a survey and felt like, oh, my answer is none of these, or my answer is a bunch of these, but they're only letting me pick one? That will start to help you see some of the problems with surveys. When you take surveys and you go, oh, I don't even know, how do I answer this question? This doesn't really work for me. That's a clue as to why surveys are not good. Another problem with surveys and why marketing loves them but UX doesn't love them is because we care about psychology and behavior. There's almost no way to write a survey that tells me about your behaviors. That tells me about why you do things. That tells me what your task looks like. That tells me what your journey looks like. I can try to ask you in a survey, what do you do first and then what do you do second? What if you don't remember correctly? It's always better to watch you do it, because then I can write down what you're doing and you probably won't miss things, or you're less likely to miss things. So surveys don't really tell us behavior things that we need to know to make better decisions about products and design. We also have problems with, what is the survey data? Oh, thanks, Mohammed. Thanks for joining, and thanks for your patience waiting for the answer. Very kind of you. What does the survey data really mean? If 76% of people said blah, what does that mean? And what if your question is terrible? What if your question is, would you like us to build a thing where it does this? And 76% of people go, yeah. Well, they just guessed about whether or not they want a future thing that they haven't even seen. So, M says, I was watching the video on surveys yesterday. It's episode 51. Check it out. Thank you, M. So surveys, man, I could go on forever, but surveys, a lot of the problem is in how you write them, and that we can't get at what we want to know. I always remind people, what do we do? When we get the survey back, what's going right? What's going wrong? How do we fix it? We can't really know until we do more qualitative research and meet with people, watch them do things, ask them questions, talk to them, find out what their real experiences are. Then you've got a shot at understanding what's going right or wrong, what do we need to change, or what are our priorities. The survey just doesn't tell us that. But Sol, if you're not sure, give me an example of what you think it would be a great survey question that would tell us that, and I will tell you why that may be a good or bad survey question. While you do that, let me just remind everybody that we've got more shows coming up. We've got a show, no show tomorrow, but we've got a show on Wednesday where I'm going to read my new article about how we fix UX education, and we'll turn that into a conversation. So join us Thursday, usual time, 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Friday is not reaction stream. We moved something else. It's going to be the realities of UX work. We're going to have a panel discussion on what it's like to really work in UX with Julia, Sophie, and Solomon. Monday the 8th, I'm going to do my first Think Out Loud session where I'm going to do work live and take some comments and thoughts from all of you. Tuesday the 9th, office hours, Ask Me Anything. Same thing we're doing here, same time, but some of you might change clocks between now and then, so just check what Central Europe time is for you. Wednesday the 10th is our monthly Slack networking. Thursday the 11th, not streaming. Friday the 12th, office hours, Ask Us Anything with Darren and Dr. Nick. So that's been moved also. That means we are not getting another reaction stream for a while. I will have to find a place to fit them in because you're sending stuff in. Whew. And then Monday the 5th, I'm going to do another Think Out Loud live design thing so you can see how I work. So thank you to everybody who joined in today. I'm sorry we had some strange people in the channel who appeared to be bots or trolls or both, but I have muted them from the YouTube channel, so we should not see them again, at least not under those screen names. And I apologize that they were distractions, and I apologize that they thought that being distracting would be funny or cool or whatever. Soul says, I totally agree with you. I'm going to refer my mates to this channel ASAP. Thank you. I hope you will. Won't you please? That's the kindest compliment you could give, is to let more people know about the Delta CX YouTube channel. We're live usually 2 to 4 times a week. I'm taking questions and helping people as much as possible, even ones who throw tantrums. So that's probably it for today. Sirocco, thank you so much. Oh, Soul, thank you very much. You're amazing too. Thank you for being here, and I hope I can continue helping out in the future as well. And Eunice, you better get back to us and tell us how this went. We want to know if you get the job. So hopefully I will see everybody. Let's check my calendar. Not tomorrow, but Thursday, when we're going to talk about how we improve UX education, or at least where we can start. So I'm going to run. I'm going to play us out of here. Everybody be safe and healthy and careful. And I will see you all very soon. Thanks again. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are